Welcome to my room. As you can see, the Graphic Arts Lab is pretty large. There's a lot of equipment here that is dangerous unless you know how to use it properly. So you need to be safety trained in how to use everything. For emergency use, in case there's an emergency, a fire, a tornado, or an earthquake, follow the information above the door. If there's a fire, you're going to exit out the back door. Make sure you walk around everything that you need to. And wait for the teacher to meet you at the back door. And then you will go to the designated area. If for some reason there is a fire or some electrical charges or anything that requires you to turn off the electricity, you need to come to the electrical panel, open it up, and turn off the main disconnect switch. To open it, you press the D underneath the lock. It opens it up, and then the bottom switch, you can turn it off, and that turns off all electricity to the room. All material safety and data sheets supplied by the chemical companies are located in one location at the Graphic Arts Lab. If you go to the back room behind the instructor's desk, you will notice there is a cabinet with binders. Find the one that says MSDS sheets, and then open it up depending on which location. There's pre-press, digital press, offset press, bindery, and screen printing. So depending on which location you're at, you go to the proper safety data sheet for the chemical and read through the safety data sheet to locate the information.
Sheet or SDS is a document that is required to accompany a hazardous chemical. It provides detailed information on the safe handling, use, storage, and disposal of said chemical. SDSs are required to be created by the chemical manufacturer, distributor, or importer and provided to downstream users. OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard, Health Canada's WHMIS, and many other hazard communication standards around the world require employers to provide workers with immediate access to SDSs for the chemicals they come into contact with, and ensure they receive training on how to read and understand them. In the past, the predominant means of providing safety data sheet access to employees was through printed copies in 3-ring binders, but increasingly, employers are choosing more convenient electronic solutions, like online SDS management software and mobile apps. Another change in direction relates not to the management of the documents, but to the documents themselves. For many decades in the United States, SDSs were called Material Safety Data Sheets, or MSDSs. In 2012, OSHA aligned its Hazard Communication Standard with GHS, a system designed by the United Nations to streamline the world's hazard communication standards into one coherent system. Under GHS, SDSs follow a standardized 16-section format, arranged in a strict order. For GHS adopting countries and agencies, one of the biggest changes and compliance challenges relates to the transition from older MSDS formats to the new GHS-styled SDSs. With adoption of GHS completed in the US in 2016, OSHA inspectors now expect to see up-to-date and compliant SDS inventories, and if not, they expect to see that an employer has made a good faith effort to obtain SDSs for any MSDSs that remain in their inventory. For other countries and agencies, inspectors may take an even stricter stance and expect to see SDSs without exception. Going forward, when it comes to chemicals, safety data sheets will continue to be the backbone of employee safety and a key element of HazCom compliance.
Okay, so we do have a chemical cabinet that stores all hazardous chemicals. It is a yellow flame-resistant cabinet. It's in the back room of the photography. All chemicals are to be stored that are flammable in the chemical storage unit. If perchance there is a fire, we have 3 fire extinguishers for our room. If you splash and get a chemical in your eye, we have eye wash stations available near the sinks in the room to use to flush out any chemicals. Make sure you read the MSDS sheet as you go through. Also, when you walk in the door, you come to the front of the room, right next to the sink, we have a first aid kit. Available for anybody to use anytime you need to put a band-aid on, wipe something off, bandage something, or even to get an ice pack. Please let the instructor know if you use any of the materials. Thank you. Also located in the front of the room, to the left of the screen, is our paper storage. In the paper storage, when you go in, you will notice there's paper put on racks, and they're labeled per what kind of paper they are, from 11 by 17 to text, cover and index, linen, and carbonless. When carrying paper, you have to know how to properly lift a box. Paper comes and supplies come in several different boxes. Follow the directions, and if you need assistance, then you can always use our two-wheeler carts. Also, if you need to get any supplies from up high on top of the shelves, you might need to use a ladder. Make sure you use it properly, and do never step on the top of the ladder.
Start by examining the box. Check its shape, condition, and contents. If it's too heavy, you'll need some help. You might want to ask a friend or use a moving dolly. Before you lift the box, clear a path and take note of any stairs or uneven surfaces that could cause you to trip. When you're ready to lift, stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Look straight ahead with your back straight and bend your legs to kneel and grip the box. Get a firm grip, then slowly lift up with your legs. Keep your back straight and push your body up and into a standing position. One of the most important things to remember is to let your legs do the work. Don't lift with your back. When you're ready to put the box down, bend your legs and kneel like you did when you lifted it. Keep your back straight, and once it's securely on the surface, release your grip and stand up. And now you have successfully lifted a heavy box.
Near the front of the room is also our spot cleaner to get ink out of clothes. If you need to use this, you need to be properly trained. Wear the proper safety goggles and make sure it's well ventilated outside the window. If you get chemicals in your hands, eyes, or skin, find out from the MSDS sheet how to fix it. In the screen printing area, we have a conveyor belt that is heated. We also have a red hazardous trash to dispose of flammable materials. Next to the screen printing area, we also have the flash dryers. They're used to cure the shirt, and they're extremely hot when they are plugged in. Never touch underneath. When it is heated up, you can burn your... If there's a spill of any chemical, never sniff it, touch it, or handle it until you know how to identify it. You need to make sure you look at the MSDS sheet, grab the proper safety equipment from the safety zone, and then follow the directions on how to clean up and dispose of the chemical properly. The safety zone. So this is our safety zone. We have lockout and tagout devices. Lockout, tagout. Our safety goggles, our ear protection, and our vinyl latex-free gloves. Near the back of the room, we do have a fire alarm. In case there's a fire and you feel you cannot take care of the fire, please pull the fire alarm and exit the building. We have fire extinguishers that can deal with fires A, B, and C. A being paper, B being flammable liquids, and C being electric. We have some equipment here that you're going to be trained on to use. One is a guillotine cutter. A guillotine cutter uses a guillotine knife to slice through paper. You need to make sure that you follow the directions. Then when you're trained, it has a paper safety guard on it. While it is up, it cannot be used. Only one person should stand in the designated zone. That's where it shows yellow and black. And they need to use both hands One just pressing that button, and one to pressing that button at the same time when cutting. This is very dangerous. You've got to make sure that you're only by yourself and not to put your hand or anything near the cutting of the blade. Also near the back of the room, we do have our shrink wrap machine. When you're using the shrink wrap machine, you've got to be careful. It does have a hot wire that comes in here and melts the plastic together when it's pushed down. Please make sure you don't put your hand underneath it or touch the metal, the wire that is heated up. You can burn yourself. So back here is our screen printing, where we put on the emulsion for the screens that are light sensitive. That's why it needs a yellow light when it's back there. We have our light table. Some other equipment. We have a laminator, a comb binder, a saddle stitcher. We have die presses. We have a button maker. We have a folder. And we have a oven used for doing our die sublimation. We also have a mug press and a heat press right behind it. Whenever you use any of these presses, you have to be careful and use the heat retardant gloves whenever you take anything out, so you do not burn your hands. Remember, it gets to a hot temperature, so we want to make sure safety first. When you come into the classroom, if you look right as you walk in the door, you'll notice that we have some safety equipment. We have wipes that disinfect, a spray that disinfects, sanitizer, and gloves. Anytime you use any equipment in the lab, no matter what, even the chairs, tables, and desks, you need to make sure you wipe everything clean to protect against the virus.